We are the Brady girls. We are the Brady girls. We know our manners. We spend our tanners.
My name is Phyllis Gloria Borden, née Gorgon, and I was born at the Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel just before the war finished. And my birthday is on Valentine's Day, and the year was 1945. When I grew up, we were a very good family unit. We lived in the East End of London in a council flat, and it had 3 bedrooms, and we had very nice neighbours, and it was a very good social ambience. Also, our family lived nearby, so we all met up very often. My brother is 4 years younger than me, so to give my mother quality time with him, my dad would take me on a Saturday to London with a nice spy book. And there we would find all the historic places of interest, and also he took me to art galleries and theatre. And I can say that I thoroughly enjoyed my childhood. My parents both worked. Mum only part-time, so that she was always there before and after school. Dad was a pattern designer and worked for a company in London. And we had a fairly good life. There weren't any money problems. We used to be taken out every weekend and go on holiday once a year. My father's family came over from Russia during the pogroms around 1840. And also my mother's family, again around the same time, from Austria. And I believe possibly it could be the beginning of anti-Semitism, and they got out before it got out of hand. And they also lived in the East End, worked very hard, and I know my grandparents lived in a very Jewish area called Hessel Street. And I remember going to their apartment. They had one flat for themselves and another one for the children. And my grandfather had racing pigeons, and I used to go and play with them. And they also had 2 dogs. Flossie was a red setter, and Sandy was a terrier, and they used to let me sit on Flossie's back, and I used to pretend I was horse riding. So, as I said, a wonderful upbringing with a wonderful family. I went to school, as did my brother, opposite Brady Girls' Club. And my parents thought it would be a good idea for me to learn how to socialise with other young people, other than in a school situation, and also to explore activities that obviously weren't always on offer at home. So that's how I began. I was 9 years old, and the first activity I ever went to was table tennis. And my opponent was Carol Mayer, who was a youth director, daughter. But at that point, it was only a girls' club. To be honest, I can't remember. The only one I can remember was Miriam Moses. And I can remember her sitting in the office and looking at us when we all came in. But I did enjoy it, and I took part in many different activities, mainly indoor, because at that point there wasn't any sports facilities at the club. So there was art, there was drama, cookery, just conversation was important as well. It was my introduction to the English countryside. Coming from the East End, although we did go to parks, it was wonderful. And I loved the history. I know I was only young, but I recognised its age. And then I believe it was the Dower House to Lullingston Castle, which we also visited while we were at Skeet. It introduced me to the wonders, as I said, of nature, and to go on rambles was so exciting. And the other thing was sleeping in dormitories with friends and having a good old giggle. I also remember the housekeepers, the Ruddocks, and they were really, really characters in their own right. And we had to do chores, and one of them was helping to clean the kitchens, and the Ruddocks supervised. They were very kind people. I enjoyed their company. We also had to do chores around the house. I used to try and get out of doing the ablutions. When the club amalgamated, that's when everything changed. We still had the girls' club and the boys' club, but the biggest factor was Yogi Mayer. I absolutely worshipped him, and I know I was one of his favourites because he called me Gorgeous Gorgon. I was friendly with his daughter, and we all became friendly like a group, a clique. And there were boys, and as we went into the inters and then the seniors, activities were with boys, but it didn't mar my enjoyment of the activities. But as I went to a girls' school, it was important to learn how to, get on with the male sex. So from that point of view, I enjoyed it as well. And I can remember the Sunday socials. These days, they're called discos, or you go clubbing. But in my day, it was the socials. And I was quite good at jiving. I liked dance very much. I won a scholarship to a very good girls' grammar school. There were only 300 students, and I stayed on and did my A-levels. My mother, bless her heart, little Jewish women from the East End do not go to art school or university. Yogi got to hear about it, and he said, would I like to become a youth worker? Oh, yes, said I. Mummy approved. He got me a training gear at another local club called Oxford and St George's, and that's where I trained under Sandra Dreyer, who'd also been to my school. And she ran the play centre, and that's the section I trained with. And then as soon as the year was up, a miracle happened. I was offered by Yogi the position of junior girls leader. Isn't that wonderful? Yogi played a very big part in my life. There were sports activities, but I was very keen into the arts. So there was a lot of art work and always on display, and theatre, drama, and what was then called concert party, which is now known as musical theatre. So the girls loved it, and I think it brought some of the shy ones out of their shell. And also, because I worked with the juniors, I still had to take an activity in the seniors, and I took a concert party activity. I also, and I hope this doesn't sound like I'm showing off, but I wrote 2 shows, one based on the suffragette movement and one about King Arthur and Queen Guinevere. And I'm very pleased to say that my sister-in-law was one of my most active members. We had a great time at Brady, that's all I can say. When Brian and I got engaged, our engagement party was at the Brady Club. And then at our wedding, there was a Brady table of the Mayors, the Kembles, and the Austins, and of course the Ruddocks. And many, many members of the club were there, and even some of the junior girls who weren't juniors anymore. Again, Brady was a special part of anything in our lives. And we hope that we pass these values on to our children and our grandchildren. As I said, I think Brady opened up certain areas that I wouldn't have experienced in depth. And again, the socialising was important. I still think that's important, because when you meet somebody perhaps for the first time, you know how to converse, how to experience their repartee as well. So yes, and as I said, skeet, holidays abroad, it was a very important part of my growing up. Again, how to be a decent person, how to give rather than take. And I think that is a very, very important value in life. We're not insular. We should learn how to converse, even with strangers, and how to put yourself forward in a positive way. I think that the whole world has changed. Everything's online. You can work from home. You don't have to go shopping, even for clothes. You can even go online and meet somebody, which to me, I can't understand it at all. I think eventually people will be more insular. I know for a fact that my eldest grandson works from home 2 days a week because the travelling is expensive to London. But he prefers the other 3 days when he's in office. I think if they brought youth clubs back, the old values will come back as well. Perhaps somebody, perhaps in the government one day, someone will get the right idea to promote them again. And people are important, and to relate to people is important. So yes, I would like to see the growth of youth clubs. I'm not sure, though, whether it will happen.
We are the Brady girls. We are the Brady girls. We know our manners. We spend our tanners. We are respected wherever we go. Aye. As we walk along the Broadway line, doors and windows open wide. We know how to stamp our feet. We are the Brady